Hey, good afternoon. This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto and Clay Motion here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If this video is helpful, please like, share, comment, subscribe mostly. I don't sell your information, give it away, or anything like that, but subscribers help me get an extra penny. If you want to help me out, let my videos play. Just turn the volume down on your computer while you're working on your stuff. Should help out. We're going to cover the starter removal and replacement of a 2010 Chevy Equinox with the 2.4 Ecotech in it. We're also going to cover in this video the crank sensor removal and replacement. Pretty cut and dry. I don't really show you how to put it back together, but keep the nice comments coming. If you want to visit me on Clay's AC and Auto on Facebook, that would be great. Sorry about the long intro. Okay, so you probably just seen the code that I had. I've decided this video is also going to cover starter removal. So what we got is a crank sensor that's bad, we believe. So we're going to remove the starter. We're going to start by first taking out a 10mm bolt that holds the ECM down and remove that off the battery. So once we got the 10mm bolt out, we're going to slide it to the right and it'll release off the top of the battery, and we're going to unhook the battery cable. So we unscrewed the 10mm bolt that holds the battery cable down. Now we're going to take off the positive side battery cable. So on top of the starter, on the solenoid here, there's a little push pin, and it should be sitting in there just like that. It should sit on the very top at the 12 o'clock position. You're going to need something. I used a pick tool and pull that back so you can have that wire off. So one of the things that I needed to do to get to the top 15mm bolt on the starter, I used a 6-inch extension, and then that brings it out. But I also had to remove this valve right here, and it took two 10mm bolts that hold that on. Sorry about the light, it's a little bit shining off there and making too much shadow, but there was two 10mm bolts that held this down, and then I just picked it up and pulled it off of there. So we're going to be able to get that bolt loose now up there with your ratchet. I'm going to use a air ratchet, but I'll be able to get that bolt out, and the starter should come right out. So to actually remove the starter, I need to remove these three 13mm bolts right here, and then there's one up here at the very top that's hooked to this bracket, and we'll remove them. Sorry, I misspoke because I hadn't took the bracket off yet. The top bolt was a 15mm, and now you should be able to pull your starter out. I was hoping it would come out without unhooking the main terminal wire, but it looks like I'm gonna have to do that. So that's the starter removal portion of our video. That was a 13mm for the main, and you don't necessarily have to remove them in the order that I did. You can remove the bracket first and then the starter. The rest of the video is going to be about the crank sensor, so you don't have to watch anymore if you don't want, but please subscribe if you liked it. So now we got our starter out, and I'm going to try to put some light on the situation up in there so you can see, and you'll see the crank sensor right there. And we're going to do a couple little tests, I think, to make sure we have voltage, because we can't really crank the engine anymore, but looks like there's an 8 or a 10mm volt. Let you know here in the next segment. Okay, so we got the 8mm bolt out that houses the crank sensor, and I'm going to talk to you about some tips here, okay? If yours isn't as crispy clean as this one, it's not, and it's rusted in there and it's not going to come out very easy, you really gingerly want to wiggle this thing and do whatever you can to spin it, because you want it to come out and you don't want it to break off inside there. So if you break it off inside there, and I'm not going to break mine, so I doubt very highly that you're going to have an easy time of getting it out. And the only instructions that I could kind of give you on that is to heat up a screw, the tip of a screw, get it real hot and shove it down in there, and then pry the screw out. I know in this situation I'm not going to have to do that, so luckily I'm not going to have to show you that. But if that did happen, you could potentially pull the intake, and you could get down on it, you know, at an angle like this with the screw and pull it out. At that point, the only other thing you can do is pull the engine. I'm pretty sure Nope, not in this situation. Used to be you couldn't pull oil pans off, but you're probably going to have a hard time just looking at this. And I'm only discussing this because, you know, this video has a shelf life of 15, 20 years. So in 15, 20 years, somebody could be reading it and theirs could be all, or watching it, and theirs could be all rusty inside there and they're not able to get it out. Hopefully I don't have that problem. I'm pretty sure I should just be able to take a screwdriver, you know, wiggle it a little bit and pull up on it at the same time. Doing this in your driveway, you know, it is what it is. We're going to go ahead and replace it, but I'm also going to check for the signal to it, make sure it's sending signal back to the ECM and stuff like that. And hopefully I can show you how to do that. I'm not certain if I'm going to be able to find the schematic for that, but I'm going to go ahead and pull it out, and then that part should be changed, and I'll be back. Okay, so I waited to unplug my sensor till I actually pulled it out. And what you got to do is you got to push up on that, and I haven't actually unplugged it yet, but then you're going to push down on that, and then the sensor should come out. You're going to want to inspect this sensor really, really well. I don't know if that's paint or if that's corrosion, because that's the color of corrosion. So I don't know if they painted that at the factory or if I just got corrosion in there. So once I get it unplugged, I'm going to look inside the plug and see if I see any corrosion, because it might not be that the sensor's bad. It just might have some corrosion on the plug. So once you get the sensor unplugged, you're going to look down inside there and make sure none of that is bent. Very, very important, especially if a motor's been changed like I think it has in this one. Then you're going to want to look down inside the plug and make sure you don't see any green stuff like that's on the top of your battery. Very important. So this is the Dorman part number 907799 that we're installing, and it's a brand new sensor, so we're going to install that. So basically I found out that that crank sensor wasn't bad after testing it, but I had forgotten to make a video end to that explaining that. If this video was helpful, please like, share, comment, most of all subscribe. If you want to reach out to me on Clay's AC and Auto Repair and Facebook, that'd be great. Have a great evening. Hopefully this video was helpful in your starter removal or your crank sensor replacement. Thank you much. Have a great day.